Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everybody who have taken the time to join me. Thank you, and I appreciate it. Welcome, welcome to another discussion with yours truly, Michelle Bradshaw. Hi to those on YouTube. Hi to those on my Facebook Michelle Bradshaw page, and hi to those on my Shelley Bradshaw Facebook page. Thank you all for joining me. The call-in number, the number if you choose to call in and become a part of the discussion, the number to call in is 845-262-8653. That's 845-262-8653. Good evening again. Now, I have a lot I want to discuss today, but I want to start off with a few things. First of all, I just want to talk about the hypocrisy of some Jamaicans. Now, Buju Banton, came out visibly upset about an issue with relief stuff that he had gotten from donors, that he had that was shipped to Jamaica, and what happened. Sunday evening blessings. Same to you, Maxine. And I'm a bit taken aback by the answer from Daryl Vaz. Now, the hypocrisy that bothers me is that there are a lot of Jamaicans who are behaving as if they have not known about the issues of persons belonging being stolen at the wharves, being stolen at the airport. Hi Sandra, hi sweetheart, hi Sherry, good to see you, my friend. We are friends from school days, big up yourself. And I saw a lot of hypocrisy towards Buju Banton, Mark Myrie. Now, it is sad when we have someone who is trying to help a situation and help persons that are going through the situation, and the minister had the audacity to come out and call him a liar. Now, Daryl Vaz said, hi Opal, Daryl Vaz said that Buju should have called him because Buju has his number. But my question to Mr. Vaz is, what about the other Jamaicans whose goods have been stolen that do not have your number? Now, instead of coming out and trying to say that Buju was lying, it would have been better if he had come out and said, and be honest about the situation and said, this is a situation that has been going on for quite some time, and we need to fix this situation. But instead, the argument was that Buju was lying, and the worst thing was to see some of you laborites on social media running with Buju's name. Buju is this, Buju is that. Buju's supposed to go to prison for public mischief and all of these things. And I am looking at it and I am saying, wow, how hypocritical can these people be? Any one of us, whether we travel or we don't travel, or whether we have family abroad or we don't have family abroad, no, it's something that's been going on for years. We have been hearing people complain about their stuff being stolen. They're not getting their stuff. I myself experienced it. So I don't understand why people are behaving, people along with Mr. Vaz are behaving as if it's something new. The only reason why Daryl Vaz was upset because the voice that was crying out was Buju Banton. And Buju Banton is famous. So big up Althea. So because Buju Banton is famous, there was the fear by Mr. Vaz that Buju's voice as a famous Jamaican would reach the foreign shores and stop aid from those who were about to send aid to Jamaica. It is an ongoing thing, exactly, Opal. It has been an ongoing thing for years. And instead of coming out, and you know one of the things that surprised me? That was the fastest investigation I have ever seen. Daryl Vaz, according to him, investigated the issue with Buju and his belongings in less than 24 hours. Hi, Andrea. Less than 24 hours. How many common Jamaicans that have had issues at the wharves, at the airports, with their goods, have ever had their claims or their disagreement addressed in less than 24 hours? So I am going to say to Mr. Vaz, if you could have come out and said that Buju should have called you, then I am saying to you, hi Anita, long time. How you doing, girl? I am saying to you, Mr. Vaz, what you need to do is put your number out there publicly so that any Jamaican or any visitor that runs into this problem, having their goods stolen at the wharves, at the airport, wherever, that right away they know that they can take up their phone, and call you and get the same response that you gave to Buju Banton's complaint. Because it makes no sense that because Buju's voice is loud, and when I say loud, I don't mean it in a derogatory way. I mean it in the sense that he's famous, so people would hear his cries before they hear the cries of a Michelle Bradshaw, right? Hi, Maxine. Thanks, sweetheart. Hi, Magrin. Hi, everybody. So I would think that if Daryl Vaz, as a member of the Jamaica Labour Party government, is going to say Buju has his number and Buju should have called him, that he needs to put his number out there publicly so that whenever anyone runs into that problem, they can pick up their phone, call Daryl Vaz. Them not have to talk to nobody at the airport. They don't have to speak to anybody at the wharves. They can take their phones up, call Daryl Vaz, and Daryl Vaz will fix it. The other issue, because I'm going to go into history a little bit today and in ongoing programs, because I think Jamaicans need to know and understand their political history. Now, before I get into that, Jamaican Carlos came out and he addressed Donna Marigo with some not so nice words. Hi, Lady Benz. How you doing, sweetheart? Hi, Georgia Bennett. With some not so sweet words. Andre Stevens also came out and spoke about Donna's hypocrisy, with Donna saying that people should respect the Prime Minister. I want to say to Donna Marigo and the rest of you Labourites, hi Arlene Kelly, the rest of you Labourites out there who seem to think that respect is due to the Prime Minister simply owing to the fact that he's Prime Minister, you all need to understand that the Prime Minister of Jamaica works on behalf of the people of Jamaica. The Prime Minister is there to serve the people of Jamaica. And I find it very hypocritical that you people are suggesting that Jamaicans should respect the Prime Minister, but at the same time, the Prime Minister has no respect for Jamaicans. The only Jamaicans he seems to have respect for are the ones who big him up. Because had the Prime Minister had any respect for Jamaicans, the Jamaicans that go on his social media accounts, whether he's the one handling the accounts or it is his handlers, why are they blocking people, taxpaying Jamaicans, who are asking relevant questions? So how come all of you are out here suggesting that Jamaicans should respect the Prime Minister, but you all are silent in saying that the Prime Minister owes Jamaicans, whether they are JLP, PNP, or no P, respect? Because the people of Jamaica are his boss. He works for the people of Jamaica. So how do you all expect Jamaicans to respect a prime minister when the prime minister obviously does not respect a lot of Jamaicans? Look at all the issues that are going on since Hurricane Melissa. And look at how he has handled the situation. But before I even get into that, I want to say to Donna Marigo, you are a world-class, first-class hypocrite. You came out after Jamaican Carlos addressed you, and in you addressing Jamaican Carlos, you asked the question if Jamaican Carlos was a man, because the way he spoke about you, he should not have spoken to you in that manner, because he has a mother, he has sisters and whatever. And I am saying to you, you are a first-class hypocrite. And I'll tell you why I say that. Gavin Salmon, known as Ashanti 360, came out openly on social media and disrespected you, Donna Marigo, in the worst possible ways. He told you about your private parts. He disrespected your mother. He disrespected your children. Even the little boy at your house, he disrespected. And when Ashanti 360, Gavin Salmon, did all of that, you remained silent. You did not come out here and ask Gavin Salmon if he had a mother, if he had sisters, or if he had a wife. What did you do? You came out here and you openly embraced him, to the point where you said openly that he's the best investigator on social media. But not only that, there are men on social media who behave as if they're walking with a vagina. Ashanti 360, Speak My Mind Jamaica, GT Buzz, and a host of others who openly come out on social media day after day after day after day disrespecting women. And you have remained silent. Not once did you come out and openly say to these men, you all need to stop disrespecting women. You have mothers. You have sisters. Stop disrespecting women. You have not done that. And those of you who support her, especially you women who sit on Ashanti 360's page, who sit on Speak My Mind Jamaica's page. Exactly, Pamela. She danced with him, telling him to... Thank you, Pamela. I actually forgot about that part. You openly told, Donegal, you openly told Ashanti 360 to curse women. Just don't go under them. You remember that? But the hypocritical part of this is your supporters also came out for Jamaican Carlos and Andre. And these are the same women who sit on the Gavin Salmon's page, who sit on the Speak My Mind Jamaica's page, who sit under the pages of some of the women who claim to be bloggers out here who support you, Donegal. I have been called names by a lot of them. Description X, Y, and Z by a lot of them, which don't bother me because I am comfortable in myself. But you said nothing about it. And then you have the audacity to come out here. It is sickening, Enid. It is sickening. The things Ashanti 360 said about Donna Marie Gow, Jamaican Carlos never come close. Jamaican Carlos did not come out and tell Donna say underneath her stink. Jamaican Carlos did not come out here. Jamaican Carlos or Andre Stevens did not come out here and tell Donna Gow that underneath her was stink, or tell her that her daughter is dancing a pole, or tell her that the little boy in her house, a little 6-year-old at the time, was gay. So how do you have the audacity, Donna Marie Gow, to come back out on social media with your hypocritical, illiterate self and say to Jamaican Carlos, because we all know who you were speaking about, asking him and Andre Stevens if they don't have mothers or sisters. How about you go and ask Ashanti 360 that question? How about you go and ask Speak My Mind Jamaica that question? And Marcia Campbell, I'm not calling your name for any harm. And I want to say to you, because I heard a live you did yesterday, you and I spoke twice on the phone. Once when you asked me, to elaborate on some rental thing. I don't remember. But I have never been on any three-way call with anyone to you. I just want to put that out there. But back to the issue at hand. Ashanti 360 and the women who support Donna Marie Gow have dragged Marcia Campbell through the mud in the most disgusting way. To the point where even yesterday, the same Ashanti 360 that Princess Bashir from Canada was going to give an award as an influential man on a platform where she claims she supports women, but at the same time was going to give this reprobate piece of crap an award. When down to yesterday, that I don't even know what to call him, actually sat on his live with the same woman who had a problem with what Jamaican Carlos said about Donna Marie Gow, and dragged Marcia Campbell in the worst possible way, how she's living in her car, how she's this and how she's that. They even went as far as causing the woman to lose her job several times. And you have the audacity, Donna Marie Gow, to come out here and ask Jamaican Carlos and Andre Stevens if they have a mother or sisters. You are a disgrace. But I do not expect better from you, because you cannot expect better from people who are illiterate. But you should be ashamed of yourself. Because the same voice where you come out with, come ask Jamaican Carlos and Andre Stevens if them not have mother or if them not have sister, because you found what Jamaican Carlos especially said about you to be so disrespectful that you had to ask him if him not have no mother, if him not have no sister. But at the same time, him never go as low as Ashanti 360. He did not go as low as Ashanti 360. And yet, Donna, and yet, not once did you come out here and address the things that Ashanti 360 said about you. Not once. And those you have these people, women and men on social media, disrespecting people for you in your name. And not once have you come out and told them to stop. What you tell them to do? You tell your planker them, go over this and go support that one. Go over this and go support the other one. Go over this and go support the one. And you have the audacity to come out here and say ask these men if they don't have mothers or sisters or wives? Why don't you go ask Ashanti 360 that? Why don't you go ask Speak My Mind Jamaican that? Why don't you go ask GT Buzz that? These men, hi Angela, hi Fiona, these men, hi Georgia, hi Karen, these men that sit on social media disrespecting people in your name, Donna Marigo, the same way you come out and pontificate on your platform at Jamaican Carlos and Andre Stevens, you fi come out the same, you come pontificate on your platform and tell the illiterate, undereducated mongrels that you have out here disrespecting people because people dare to come out and speak about your illegal activities. You fi come tell them to stop. You need to come out here, come ask them if they don't have mothers or wives or sisters. You are a hypocrite. A first-class illiterate hypocrite. It would have been better. I Coleman, big up my sister. It would have been better if you had kept silent. I see when Maxine Foster, Maxine, you know me now call your name for no came out and said she had filed a lawsuit against you, Donna Marie Gow. Some of your supporters had the worst thing to say about Maxine Foster. Did you address that? No. You never addressed it. They went as far as to put up the woman address, put up your address. Did you address it? No, you did not address it. And then you expect anybody with an ounce of common sense to come out here and expect that you have any class or character to come out here and ask anybody if them not have mother and sister. But you won't do that. You will never come out here and tell the Grasmites that you have out here who are threatening people, look at what they've done to Dwayne Fletcher. Where were you when them come out, when every day Dwayne come out and I come talk for him money, when give to you, when I tell you for send it, come back, and they go on his platform and disrespect him daily, and you remain silent. Hi Mendes, my good baby. You have said nothing, absolutely nothing. People and people on social media have them differences, right? But you know, come out, come say to the Grasmite them where you have out here, the low life drunker them where you have out here, women and men. You don't come out here and say to them, say, "Una stop it." But make somebody come out here, come call you the B word, come say things about you. Them ready for jump down people's throat, and you're ready for sit down on your platform with your dirty laugh and act like you have class and character. Shut the hell up. You're not in a position for come out here, come tell nobody what to say. Because you are lacking in class and character. You're a hypocrite, Donna Marigo. And you deserve everything that is coming to you. Jamaican Carlos, as much as his words might have been disrespectful, it was nothing compared to what Gavin Salmon, Ashanti 360, has said about you in the past. And the worst part of it, that piece of crap, that piece of human waste, did not come publicly and said, "I apologize for the things that I have done to Donegal." No, in meeting in Canada, the two of them dance, the two of them hug up to show you the low life you are. Which man could have looked upon me and cuss me and tell me, "Oh, my underneath stink," and I turn around and dance with them? You're a low life just like him, Donna Marigo. That's why it never bother you. That's why you never come out, come say nothing when him did a style you, and him did a style your mother, and him did a style your daughter, and him did a style your little boy your yard. You never say nothing because you're low life just like him. Yes, Enid, I'm also on YouTube, sweetheart, on my Michelle Bradshaw page. Right? The link is above. Right? And the Grasmites that support you, all of them came out and bashed Andre and bashed Jamaican Carlos because them are low life just like you. Because they don't... Which woman are going to sit down on a platform that a man operates and hear a man disrespect women in the worst ways possible and help that man to drag women? And you want to come out here and talk? Sit your illiterate ass down and be quiet and be prepared for what is coming to you. Moving on. Now, before I said when I started that Jamaicans need to know a bit about their political history. Last week I spoke about the beginning of Jamaica's affiliation with Israel. Now, before me even get into that, let me say this. You have a Grasmite in England by the name of Caribbean Spice, because I'm going to call your name. I don't like you and you don't like me, but you choose to watch me every Sunday so you can make content of my name. I thank you for that because it means that I am relevant. But what you will not do is tell a lie on me. You need to go and educate your ignorance and your illiteracy. I spoke last week about Jamaica's affiliation with Israel. You come out and say I am Islamophobic. You're a jackass. Jews are not Muslims. Islam is a religion that Muslims follow. Jews follow Judaism. And here you are with your illiterate, underprivileged, undereducated, malnourished, disgusting self daring to call me Islamophobia. Go and learn the difference between Jews and Muslims. Go and learn the difference between those two religions before you try to come at me, because you don't have the necessary brain cells to come at me. You don't have the educational background or the capacity to come at me. So when you think you're going to take my life and dissect it, make sure before you do that, you go and educate your ignorance and illiteracy and learn the difference. Exactly, O'Neill. Go and learn the difference between Jews and Muslims. And don't you dare come out here and accuse me of not liking Muslims. I work with Muslims. I have friends who are Muslims. So when you're going to come out, take my life, and think you can dice, you can't. You do not have the educational capacity to do so. So my advice to you is the time that you are going to take to try and dissect Michelle and Marie Bradshaw's lives, go and educate your ignorance and illiteracy, you undereducated mongrel, because you are stupid. And you are constantly coming at me for one reason, because I defended my friend and you have a personal vendetta against my friend Kamla. And you keep coming and coming like a raging bull. You're a jackass. Because nothing that you say or do will affect my friendship with Kamla. You see, that's the problem with people like you. That's the problem with people like you who don't have the necessary brain cells or the necessary capacity, that even though you have something personal with people, who don't make it kill you. Clearly, whatever you have personal with Kamla is killing you while you are coming at me. I have never addressed you, because you're not up on my level. No time. Exactly, Angela. She's coming like a bully. This a one girl you can't bully, Caribbean Spice. Me there so long time. Long before Grasmites like you were on social media, Michelle Bradshaw was here. And a little bullying me get. Those who know. And I am still here. So now little Ori come up, gross might we're in everybody business and I push up her mouth like she a bad girl can make me come off of this. No. But what I'm saying to you, Caribbean Spice, when you're going to address Michelle and Marie Bradshaw and any live with me do, make sure you educate yourself first because before you come out and look like the jackass that you are. So the next thing you need to go do is go learn the difference between the religions of Islam and the religion of Judaism. And go learn the difference between Jews and the difference between Muslims. You undereducated, illiterate, no, whatever I call you, mongrel. Back to regular programming. Now I want, before me even going at the history thing, I have some questions to ask the government of Jamaica. Now, we all heard about that plane that crashed, right? And we all heard Daryl Vaz come out and say that, sorry guys, and say that he heard that the plane had crashed. The information he got from the civil aviation company in Jamaica, whatever, was that the person who was flying the plane did not get a permit to land the airplane in Jamaica, that they had submitted, they wanted let's call him by his right name, Mr. Worm, may his soul rest in peace, to submit documentation so they could get him the permit. He did not do that. However, and this is the part where I am surprised. Upon further investigations, I found out that Mr. Worm had been to Jamaica several times, dropping off relief aid in Montego Bay, right? And I said to myself, because we know each time the plane coming in, them have to get a permit. So I am asking a permit to land. So I'm asking myself, if this gentleman got a permit to land all the other times he landed in Jamaica up until the week before the plane crash, which would have been week before last week, no so? Right. What would have prevented him this time from providing the information that was needed to get the permit? Because based on this Mr. Worm's position as a minister, as a humanitarian, I doubt he would want to take up himself and land in a country where he was not allowed to land. And how is it that Mr. Worm and his daughter had been to Jamaica the week before the crash, where the headline said the relief aid that he came in with was dropped off to Jamaican officials? Who were these officials? All the aid that he had brought in before, where did it go? Who collected it? And how is it that Daryl Vaz, as a member of the government, there is someone coming in from Grand Cayman with aid for Jamaica more than once? To my understanding, this would have been the 5th time. Right? So how come you did not know, Mr. Vaz, that this man had been in Jamaica 4 times prior to the accident, dropping off aid? Who were the officials? Definitely Carol, I will, sweetheart. Who were the officials? Yeah, yes, Juliet, it's true. He has a church in Grand Cayman. To my understanding, he's a humanitarian who has been helping people around the Caribbean, in other countries, etc., etc. Okay? So my question to Mr. Vaz as a member of the government, how is it you did not know the name of the person who was bringing in aid, but you're a member of the government? Because this is the same person who came into the island four times previous to the accident. Who were the officials on the 4 occasions that he landed in Jamaica with relief aid that met him at the airport in Montego Bay and received the aid? Where is that aid? Where are those supplies? Where did they go? But a bigger question I have to ask. The Prime Minister of the island, or nor anyone in the Jamaican government, has told the country, excuse me, has told the country that, let me get the correct date. That on, give me a minute, guys. I just want to get the correct date here. Okay. Give me a minute, guys. Just give me 1 minute, because I don't want to say, where is it? October, November 4th. How is it that the UK deployed a ship, the HMS Trent, to Jamaica on November the 4th? Aboard this ship, and it was to let me tell you what it says. Communities in Jamaica affected by Hurricane Melissa will receive targeted support from HMS Trent, which sailed to storm-damaged Falmouth today with specialist personnel and equipment. That's the 4th of November. HMS Trent, a British-built offshore patrol vessel, carries a 75-strong crew, including specialist engineers who will deploy ashore to provide technical expertise in support of recovery efforts. Their works will focus on infrastructure assessments and emergency repairs in coordination with Jamaican authorities. The deployment comes after the UK announced a wider package of support to Jamaica. On this ship is over 3,000 shelter kits and over 1,500 solar-powered lanterns to help those whose homes have been damaged and those without power. Also above the ship are drones to do overhead assessment. In other words, in areas where roads are cut off and whatever, it's hard to get to, these drones will fly overhead and assess what's going on the ground. So my question to the government is, where are these supplies? Where are the more than 3,000 tents? Why is it that Jamaicans are still sleeping under the stars? Where exactly? And I am not talking about the supplies that the entertainers like Buju and Spice and the others bring in. I am talking about supplies that go directly to the government to assist the people. How is it that Jamaicans did not? How is it on before that plane crash? How many Jamaicans knew that Mr. Worms had been in Jamaica 4 times prior with relief supplies? How many other foreigners have flown into Jamaica with relief supplies? Where are those relief supplies? How is it that there are drones on the ship to assess the areas that are badly damaged? Nobody knows see nothing off fly around. Where are the 75 British crew that were on board the ship to assist Jamaica? How is it that the Prime Minister of the country or whoever is in charge of this area, how is it that they are not telling the citizens of the country what is going on? It is time for us to ask questions. The western part of Jamaica has been battered badly by Hurricane Melissa. To date, I am seeing videos of people on the ground crying, nowhere to sleep, no food to eat, nothing. But I saw a clip with the Prime Minister bigging up Ramesh. And let me say to you, Mr. Prime Minister, you are a disgrace. Because you see the time you take a big up Ramesh would have been time that you took as the Prime Minister of Jamaica to take your backside into these areas yourself, assess what is going on, give the people a sense of hope. You have not done that. All these people on the ground in these areas. I saw a clip of Andre walking in some serious waters just to provide some of these people with food to eat. I don't know if it don't touch some of you, but it touched me. Right? And I see people coming out here, oh, the Prime Minister is moving, is doing all he can. Where is he doing all he can? Where? Watch me. Where is he doing all he can? Because common sense would dictate that this issue happened, the Hurricane Melissa happened 3-4 weeks now, however how long. A lot of these people on the ground should have already been airlifted or the same, because aboard that same ship were boats to help rescue some of these people who are in these areas where there's no road, there's no infrastructure, nothing. Right? So how is it that none of these hotels can't take in some of these people? What about the churches? How is it me not hear in a church, if there is any out there, and make me know, but me not hear in a church, I open them door and I say X amount of people can come in out of the cold, come in out of the rain, come in out of the mosquitoes and sleep in the church pews. We will have a soup kitchen, we will feed them. And I know that, Opal, that the political tribalists will come out here and say it's not the time to ask questions. It might not be the time for Una ask questions because Una not have no sense. Thank you, Andy. He should be in the affected areas. I may hear people are short 10 million for this, 10 million for that, blah blah blah. How do you determine without assessing what is going on, how much a community or a parish or whatever would need? In order to assess, you have to know what is going on the ground. You have to know what's going on the ground. Assess the damages to the road. Assess the damages to the land. Assess where people are going to build back or how they're going to build back. You don't just get up as government and throw out money and say 10 million yes so, 20 million this so, $500,000 this so, whatever. No. That's not what you do. And I am very surprised that I have not heard, because in times like these, the churches that have survived in Kingston, St. Andrew, wherever the hurricane did not hit, those churches should have already opened their doors and say, thank you, O'Neill. They walked in water to campaign. Exactly, my friend. They walked in water to campaign, but them can't walk in the water. Figure see the people. When I saw Andre in the water, at one point I laughed, because it did look so funny in the little yellow raincoat. But I stopped laughing because I realized I wasn't laughing at him, because me just said, boy, Andre looks so short in the little raincoat. I walked through the water, but we should see, not just the Prime Minister, And I want to congratulate Dr. Dayton Campbell, Lord, I can't remember his name now, Lisa Hanna and a few others who I've seen trying hard to assist their community. But O'Neill made a very good point. When they are campaigning, politicians walk in water, them cross river, them go take the old people election day, them find car for go take the old people them out of them bed, them find bus for go take the needy out of them bed, for go cast them vote. So where are they now? Where are they now? And it also reflects badly, not just on the government, but badly on the churches as well. And Angela, you say you saw a church helping in St. Elizabeth. Well, thank God for that church. But the Jamaican, what you call it now, clergy of churches or whatever them call it, somebody from within that organization should have been out already and say publicly, so that journalists could pick it up to say publicly, X-church in X community, X-church in Y community, we have room that we can take in 10 persons who need a place to sleep. We will open a soup kitchen, we will feed them whatever, because that is what the church is supposed to do. Yes, Nikisha to Andy, thank you. I am so proud of Nikisha Birchell, right? This is a time, and I said it before, Pamela, you are so right. This is a time when both the government and the opposition should be together, hand in hand. But unfortunately, it is not so. It is not so. And it takes me back to a time, I'm going to take you guys a little bit down memory lane. And those of us who were either young people at the time or who were kids at the time, we will remember this time. But before me even go there, so Jamaica is that the Prime Minister is in an alliance with Israel, that Jamaicans need to start asking questions. Now, one of my questions to the Prime Minister is, a week ago, you came out and you said there were 30 Israeli doctors in Jamaica to assist and help those who were sick or whatever. My question to the Prime Minister, where are those Israeli doctors today? At which hospitals are they situated, assisting those who are sick? Because I heard a nurse, I don't remember which hospital it was, but a nurse came out and said, but it Cornwall Regional Hospital, and a nurse came out and said they were pleading for help because they were working around dead bodies. The nurse told a story about a child who needed serious medical care. And while she was caring for that child, there was a dead man at her feet. Okay? There was a dead man at her feet. So how come the nurse never come out and say some of these 2 or 3 or 4 of these Israeli doctors were in Cornwall Regional Hospital assisting? Mr. Prime Minister, where are the 30 Israeli doctors that you said were in Jamaica to offer humanitarian aid to Jamaicans? Where are they housed? Which hospitals or clinics or whatever are they situated in? How is it that no Jamaican in none of the area them when need medical attention, when need nurse and doctor, how come none of these Jamaicans cannot come out and say, yes, 2 Israeli doctors are here, X, Y, and Z? So I am asking the Prime Minister of Jamaica, are those Israeli doctors really Israeli doctors, or is there something else going on? Because there's a lot that Jamaicans don't know. On Sunday, March 23rd, 2025, the Jamaican Gleaner printed this article. And I'm going to read it for you because, you see, sometimes a lot of people, you see, sometimes I will come out and talk and people just say, boy, Michelle is being political. But let me explain something to Una, let Una understand where I'm coming from. I was one of the biggest bloggers on social media for the Jamaican Labour Party. Anybody who know me back from them time, the Speak Your Mind, Jamaica, politics time, them days there, them can tell you. 100% Okay? I educated myself when I went to Jamaica. Give me a minute there. When I went to Jamaica in what is something I just heard about this? Yes, when I went to Jamaica in 2011 to vote for the JLP. And when I went to Jamaica, I sat with a few prominent members, supporters of the JLP, who said to me, Michelle, we will never support Andrew Michael Holness. And I asked them why. They said, he is evil. And I said, my God, imagine these, and I'm not talking just ordinary supporters. I'm not going to call their name. I will never do that. I am talking about persons who used to contribute to the party. And I came back to America and I said, something is wrong. And I went and I educated myself. And what I found had me, part of me was in tears. I was shocked. I was disillusioned. Because what I found out was the party that I had pledged allegiance to was the same political party that was responsible, openly and overtly responsible for the genocide of thousands of Jamaicans. But you see, a lot of us as young people, we grow up and we hear one thing and we stick to that one thing. We don't go and educate ourselves. For example, we grow up and we hear, say, our foreparents were slaves. We don't go above that and go learn, say, as some of the same people sell our foreparents to the white man for bombs, for guns and bullets to fight an internal civil war that still continues in Africa today. But I'm not going to get into that. And what I found out, like I said, made me do a 360. And like I said, those who know me, knew me from when we did on social media, we had talk politics pan nationwide. When nationwide did have a forum, and nationwide did have to lock down the forum and speak my mind, speak your mind, Jamaica come up. There's a lot of history there, but those who know. And like I said, I decided that I would no longer, in good faith, continue to serve a political movement that was responsible for the genocide of Jamaica. A lot of Jamaicans, a lot of you do not know the history behind that place what them call Tivoli. But I'm going to be talking about this for a few weeks because people need to know. Tivoli was once a place what them call Bakawal. And in that place lived a lot of PMP supporters, most of them Rasta. And what Mr. Seaga did was to use his henchmen, Jim Brown and others, to drive those people out, burn them out, literally burn them out. Some died. And change that place to Tivoli, which became, but I'm going to give you a history on that, but I'm not reach this yet. But I am questioning the Prime Minister's alliance with Israel because Jamaica's first alliance with Israel under Edward Seaga had Mr. Seaga involved with one of Israel's biggest mobster, a man known as Eli Tisonai. And that collaboration with Spring Plains and Eli Tisonai had guns and bullets and drugs coming into Jamaica. All right, but we are going to reach this. But let me read this thing here. This was published the 23rd of March 2025, and it said, the title says, Backlash as Government of Jamaica teases luxury resort by Israeli investors. And it says, an Israeli-led consortium plans to build a luxury resort in Western Jamaica. But the government of Jamaica's endorsement of the investment has sparked online criticism. It comes amidst Israel's actions in Gaza, described by some as herbicide. Minister of State in the Ministry of Tourism, Delano Sivrite, described the investment as game-changing in a social media post on X. The post included a photo of Sivrite, Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett, and an unidentified investor with a small kippa or skull cap. Those of you who might not know what that is, those of you who have seen some of these Jews walking around with this black thing on their head, like a black cap, that's that. Seabright described the development as a non-all-inclusive, ultra-luxury, low-density resort real estate development project to be located in Western Jamaica, which is said to be one of the biggest tourist resorts along its coast. Seabright added that the developers include Israeli investors and more, and that they plan to collaborate with top talent, including renowned architects. He emphasized that the project would be environmentally sustainable, create tons of good paying jobs, and offer huge opportunities for micro and small businesses. The Financial Gleaner reached out to Seabright for details on the size of the investment, the room count, and other amenities, as well as the government's stance on Israel investments, but no response was forthcoming up to press time. Questions were also sent to the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce for their perspective on the investment. Seabright's post drew criticism from bloggers on X. "No way we doing business with Israel," K. Curran commented. "We have seen terror groups attacking Israeli infrastructure around the world. Is it a wise idea to have a large Israeli hotel?" H. McDonald asks. "I have a strong feeling Jamaica is going to regret maintaining and deepening relations with Israel," M. Seeley remarked. And other comments referenced the mass killings of Palestinians, while others pre-referred local over foreign investment. One comment, however, lauded the project. The International Criminal Court issued arrest warrants in November 2024 for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, accusing them of war crimes and crimes against humanity, including the use of starvation as a method of warfare and attacks on civilians during the Gaza conflict. Jamaica is a signatory to the court. The physical flattening of entire blocks in Gaza, where infrastructure, residential neighborhoods, and cultural landmarks once stood, has been described as herbicide by academics, right? And it goes on and on. But here is this. This is in March of this year, all right? A lot of Jamaicans haven't paid attention to that. In 2017, and I brought that up to bring this up, in 2017, I probably said this last week, but I'm going to repeat it again. In 2017, the Prime Minister of Jamaica, hi Carlene, the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Andrew Holness, visited Israel. While he was in Israel, he informed Benjamin Netanyahu that he would grant asylum to over 300 Israelis who were already in Jamaica. When did those Israelis arrive in Jamaica? Following up, in December of that same year, then Minister of National Security Bobby Montague came out and said that Jamaica was going to grant asylum or amnesty, I don't remember which one, whichever one it is, to between 15,000 to 20,000 illegal immigrants. Where and when and how did those immigrants get into Jamaica? Now, Andre Stevens had a show last night, and I had called in and mentioned the same thing I'm saying here today. A young man called in, and he tried to suggest that some of these immigrants were immigrants that came in and overstayed their visa or whatever. But my question remains, which I said was total rubbish, because when the Haitians land on Jamaica's shores, trying to get a better life because of the situation, the ongoing political situation in Haiti, Jamaicans shout, send them back. And them send them back. But how is it you can grant asylum to over 3,000 Israelis, 300 Israelis, but we can't do the same for the Haitian them? Anne Marie, we can't do the same for the Haitians. It makes no sense. But I was reliably informed back in 2017 that some of these Israelis were already in Jamaica. They were building hotels, they were buying up properties on the western side of Jamaica. And I said, my God, what is going on? The most disgusting part of this is members of the opposition PMP questioned the Prime Minister in Parliament about his trip to Israel, and the Prime Minister told them that it was top secret. Now, Jamaicans, ask on yourself, even if they do not, because you know that there are things that governments cannot share with the public. That's understandable. But how is it the leader of the country is going to tell the opposition PMP that I cannot divulge any information to you because the information that I have with my alliance with Eli Tisona, with Benjamin Netanyahu, is top secret? What could be so top secret that the opposition PMP was not allowed any information on? To take it even further, I think it was in last year. Let me get it properly, because I don't like to talk on things I don't know. Give me a minute. Let me see if this is it. Okay. No. Yeah, boy. Let me tell you something. In February 2021, there was an sometimes I have to wonder if but this is public information. Now, in February 2021, the Jamaican government where is it? Hold on. The Jamaican government signed a 5-year agreement valued at Jamaica $4 billion, running from 2017 to 2024, focused on hardening critical government cyber infrastructure. They signed this contract with Elta Systems Limited. Elta Systems Limited is a defense, electronic, and cyber defense arm of state-owned Israeli airspace industries. Right? It says The contract is intended to build cyber defense capacity within key Jamaican institutions, including the Ministry of National Security, the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the Jamaica Defense Force, and the Major Organized Crime and Anti-Corruption Agency. The agreement reportedly involves intelligence sharing protocols and has led to a straining of Jamaica's traditional security alliances with Western partners like the US, UK, and Canada, as Jamaica has shifted its focus to the Israeli partnership. Right? And that's not the only alliance Jamaica has with Israeli cyber companies. But one of the other things that struck me funny, the following year, remember, the Prime Minister went to Israel in 2017. The following year, his wife, Juliet Holness, who was not yet Speaker of the House, who was just a member of Parliament, came to America to attend a cybersecurity workshop. And up until today, she cannot explain to Jamaicans what she learned at the cybersecurity workshop, what was the reason for her to be at the cybersecurity workshop. And I asked the question, how it is that you not have nothing to do with national security. You not have nothing to do with national security. Sorry, guys. You not have nothing to do with national security. But as an ordinary member of Parliament, you them take send to America to attend a workshop on cyber security. You know, there's a lot going on, and you know, Jamaicans gonna need to wake up. I have spoken about Jamaica's first alliance with Israel and what happened. And during that time, we had really good journalists, right? One of them being a gentleman by the name of John Maxwell. No, John Maxwell, I'm trying to find something here. Give me a minute. John Maxwell wrote an article, because for those of you who don't know, John Maxwell was a no-nonsense journalist, and he would come out and speak openly on things that were going on when Jamaica was in a volatile situation with the GLP, the PMP, the CIA, Tisonai, and others. And I'm going to read to you what Mr. John Maxwell wrote an article. And it was an article about the JBC, the Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation. And I'm going to read what Mr. Maxwell wrote. And Mr. Maxwell speaks on how Mr. Siaga, because Maxwell was outspoken, how Mr. Siaga got him fired from the Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation. Because, you see, people, when we talk certain things out here, you all have to understand where Jamaica is coming from politically, to understand where Jamaica is now, and why the same government is still to this day trying to destabilize Jamaica once again. But this is what Mr. Maxwell wrote. The late John Maxwell, one of Jamaica's best journalists to date, in his book Mr. Siaga Departs, he outlines in vivid details Siaga's hatred of Norman Manley, Michael Manley, the PMP, and of course Mr. Maxwell himself. Mr. Maxwell writes, "I have known Mr. Siaga since 1958. We met at one of the weekly soirees then given by Vicky Noonan, the artist wife of U.S. Counsel for Public Affairs, Tom Noonan. A few months later, After the federal elections, we had a public brawl in print over the meaning of the results with me, perhaps unkindly, terming Siaga analyst. Sorry guys, let me repeat that. A few months later, after the federal elections, we had a public brawl in print over the meaning of the results, with me, meaning Maxwell himself, perhaps unkindly, terming Siaga's analysts as BRADSHAW. I have never been forgiven for that. Mr. Siaga values his enemies, and I am, for him, perhaps the oldest and most pestilential. We collided again in 1962, shortly before independence, when, with Sir Alexander Bustamante in tow, he demanded that the Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation fire me because of a commentary in which belittled the British government's farewell gift to Jamaica. After I said, this is Mr. Maxwell speaking, after 300 years, enough cash to run the country for 11 days, and up park camp which they cannot take away, Bustamante and Siaga intimidated Mr. Hel A. Enriquez, chairman of the JBC board, who agreed that I should be dismissed. The rest of the board decided that the chairman was wrong and had exceeded his authority, and I was reinstated. A few weeks later, Mr. Siaga, as minister responsible for broadcasting, dismissed the entire board. The new board in return dismissed me and began the process of destroying Norman Manley's dream of a radio station which would be the prime example of the Jamaican culture. The process was completed by P.J. Patterson in 1997. On Independence Day 1962, Mr. Siaga did something which I cannot forgive or forget. When he saw Norman Manley, then leader of the opposition PMP, father of Jamaican independence, in the royal box, and notice what them call Norman Manley, father of Jamaican independence, in the royal box at the stadium, he asked the security people, "What is that man doing here?" That was the start of a relentless polarization of Jamaican politics, which subverted community solidarity and the national consensus which had been building since 1938. Siaga's special wrath reserved for Norman Manley. At the reinterment of Marcus Garvey's body on the first National Heroes Day, Siaga received some scattered boos from a section of the crowd. His reaction was to threaten Manley and the PMP with blood for blood and fire for fire. How many of you remember that quote? A quote from Paul Bogle, which he carefully omitted Bogle's last line, skin for skin and color for color. Siaga threatened to bring his people from West Kingston to chase the PMP from the streets. It led me, this is John Maxwell, to write an editorial in Public Opinion entitled "Sig Heil, Hail Siaga." That's the Nazi signal. So basically, Mr. Maxwell was saying Mr. Siaga was behaving like a Nazi. In 1896, when he was Prime Minister, in 1996, when he was Prime Minister, Siaga threatened to resign to allow the PMP to win the elections and then to chase them off the streets. In the 1976 elections, Siaga caused an international scandal by disclosing the government's In the 1976 elections, Siaga caused an international scandal by disclosing the government's secret negotiation position with the IMF. He quoted documents the government said had been taken from the cabinet room by a minister and leaked to Siaga by a permanent secretary. In 1979, Trinidad's Prime Minister Eric Williams berated him for his lack of patriotism in urging the IMF and the World Bank not to lend Jamaica money. Seaga had denounced the PMP as communists and prophesied dire consequences for Jamaica if the PMP won the 1980 election. Unfortunately for him, this is something that a lot of Jamaicans don't know. Seaga was soon compelled to go before his American backers, the Rockefeller Committee, to confess that there was no communists in the PMP. This is after he had labeled Michael Manley a communist. His American backers fell away. In 1980, Seaga Grande ordered the Cuban ambassador out of Jamaica, yet had the audacity to ask the Cubans to leave their doctors. In 1995, faced with a popular rebellion in Tivoli, Seaga presented the then Commissioner of Police with a list of aliases of about 20 outlaws. These 20 outlaws were members, supporters of the PMP, whom he claimed resided in Tivoli, which was then Bacawal, who he expected the police to scrape up. Seaga treasures his enemies. Heather Robinson related that on Seaga's orders, she was prevented from working in her government job for 2 years and had to turn to catering to survive. Civil servants were barred from having the Public Opinion newspaper or to buy printing from its parent company, City Printers Limited, because those two papers at the time were openly speaking about Seaga's activities. In one of the most episodes in the histories of the Jamaican press, the Press Association said it could not agree that the government's behavior was a threat to freedom of the press. These are experts from the book Mr. Seaga Departs by John Maxwell, like I said, who was one of Jamaica's best journalists. Now, here's another story, and this was written by a young man by the name of Douglas McLean, and he said, "The editor, sir, the passing of Edward Seaga marks the end of a colorful era of one whose political career has impacted Jamaica. It is said that Mr. Seaga was a man who never apologizes for any wrong he may have committed." Nestled in the Sunday Observer of July 20th, 1997, the late John Maxwell wrote, "It was not until he, Edward Seaga, became Prime Minister in 1980 that he was forced to apologize for his labeling of the PMP, leader of the PMP, Michael Manley, as communist, having to tell the World Bank, the Rockefeller Community, and various other foreigners that the PMP was never communist and that it was just as committed to the peaceful economic development of Jamaica as his party claimed to be." Give me a minute. Now, a lot of people are not aware of this. Michael Manley, while he was Prime Minister of Jamaica, offered Jamaicans free education. Okay? When the Edward Seaga government won the elections from the PMP, Mr. Seaga imposed a cess on the free education, meaning that now persons going to the university, persons going to public school, private school, whatever, would have to pay a fee. So education was no longer free for Jamaicans, right? A lot of Jamaicans don't understand the role that Michael Manley and Fidel Castro played in ending apartheid, and this is part of the reason. I'm going to go back and forth here for a little, but everything is going to come together at some point. It might not come together today because, like I said, I will continue to speak on this issue in upcoming broadcasts, but bear with me. Now, a lot of Jamaicans are not aware, and this is why I said black people, especially Negroes in Jamaica, need to educate themselves. And I'm going to repeat myself when I say that the Jamaica Labour Party is a party that is responsible for the genocide of thousands of Jamaicans. And I also blame the PMP for a bit, because in as much years as they were in government, some of these things should have been taught in school. A lot of Jamaicans are not aware of the fact that it was through Fidel Castro and Michael Manley supporting Fidel Castro that helped to end apartheid in South Africa, and also prevented the South African regime from taking over Angola, because the South African regime wanted to take over Angola and turn it also into an apartheid state. It was Fidel Castro, and with the help of Michael Manley, that saved Angola from the apartheid South African forces by providing military support and political solidarity. Cuba under Castro sent thousands of troops and military advisors to fight alongside Angola's MPLA, decisively defeating South African forces in the war between Angola and South Africa. Michael Manley, I say politics is a complex thing, and if you don't understand, I keep saying Jamaicans need to understand their political history. Michael Manley, the Honorable Michael Manley, may he rest in peace, he had a vision for Jamaica, and his vision, he said in his vision for Jamaica that Jamaicans should not have to walk on their knees. They should be able to walk on their feet, meaning that he wanted to take Jamaica to a time when Jamaicans did not have to bow to other world leaders, but Jamaica would have been able to stand up to them, right? A lot of people are not aware of that. And a lot of people today, a lot of these young laborites today, they do not know the history of Jamaica's politics. That's why they can look at somebody like Andrew Michael Holness, who was trained by Edward Seaga, and take him and put him on a pedestal, when by and large, when you know the history of Edward Seaga and his role in trying to destabilize Jamaica, you begin to realize that Andrew Michael Holness is worse than Seaga ever was or could ever be, right? A lot of people don't know that. And there was a time, guys, there's so much I want to say. And sometimes I'm wondering if I should say it or just allow people to go and research these things and understand these things themselves, because Marcus Garvey once said a people without the knowledge of their past history, origin and culture is like a tree without roots. And that is so true in our political climate. People do not understand, a lot of Jamaicans do not understand the root of Jamaican politics. They do not understand, because if they did, I guarantee the Jamaica Labour Party would not be in power today, because Jamaicans would understand that the Jamaica Labour Party is a Nazi party. It's a Nazi party, right? And there's a lot, guys. There's a lot I want to say, but I can't say everything today. But I'm going to end this live, and I am going to bring some more stuff to the forefront. I have to question myself what I really want to bring, or you know what? People need to know. People need to know. But I am going to read to you what Nelson Mandela had to say about the Honorable Michael Manley's role against the struggle with apartheid. Nelson Mandela publicly acknowledged Michael Manley's significant role in the international struggle against apartheid, specifically stating that he was grateful to finally match the name with the face of a leader whose name he had heard associated with the movement even while he was in prison. When Mandela visited Jamaica in July 1991 after his release, he spoke in Parliament and thanked Mr. Manley, then the Prime Minister of Jamaica, for his strong and unwavering support. Mandela referenced Manley's work in advocating for a new international economic order and, more importantly, for his prominent role in the global anti-apartheid campaign. Jamaica, under Manley's leadership, was one of the loudest international voices against apartheid, with the nation being the second country in the world to ban all trade with South Africa in 1957 and a major proponent of sanctions. Michael Manley strongly condemned the odious and inhuman practices of the regime and supported the campaign for the unconditional amnesty of political prisoners in South Africa. Mandela's comments, I hate this comment. I hate this sometime. Wait there now. God of mercy. Mandela's comments and the warm reception he received in Jamaica highlighted the deep respect and solidarity between the two men and their respective nations' commitment to human rights and the dismantling of racial oppression. Let me read that again. Mandela's comments and the warm reception he received in Jamaica highlighted the deep respect and solidarity between the two men and their respective nations' commitment to human rights and the dismantling of racial oppression. Okay? So I read that to say, if the PNP under Michael Manley was openly vocal against the suppression of black people in South Africa, yeah, but at the same time, the Jamaica Labour Party, in a country where the majority are Negroes, did not share in that oppression, did not share in that concept of black people should not be oppressed. What does that tell you all about the PNP? About the JLP? What does that tell you all about the JLP? I keep saying to Jamaicans, guys, you need to go and do your research. The information is there. Go above and beyond what your parents tell you, where your grandparents tell you, where you grow come here. We are in an era now where we have information is at our fingertips. Okay? Let me continue to read. Michael Manley was an early and vocal opponent of apartheid, with Jamaica being the first country to cut diplomatic relations with South Africa over its apartheid policies. In a historic decision, Manley allowed Cuban planes to refuel in Jamaica on their way to assist the popular movement for the liberation of Angola against the South African invasion in the Angolan Civil War. The intervention is seen as having played a role in weakening the white South African regime. Now, you might ask the question, why did Cuba need to refuel in Jamaica? Because every other country, America included, cut off Cuba. Right? Under Manley's government, Mr. Manley allowed Castro and his planes to refuel, to gas up in Jamaica, to go and help the Angolans fight against the South African soldiers. Manley supported and advocated for international sanctions and boycotts against South Africa, which Mandela later confirmed were crucial to their victory. You hear that? Michael Manley, the Honorable Michael Manley, supported and advocated for international sanctions and boycotts against South Africa, which Mandela later confirmed were crucial to South Africa's victory against apartheid. After his release, a meeting between Mandela and Manley was a moment of great significance, with social media posts at the time referencing a powerful image of them with captions like, "My brother, we meet at last." In 1991, during a visit to the Caribbean where he received an honorary degree, Mandela acknowledged fulsomely the Commonwealth Caribbean special solidarity, mentioning Michael Manley in the anti-apartheid struggle. Mandela constantly emphasized that the end of apartheid was a collective effort of the international community and countless individuals, rather than any single person, and Michael Manley's actions were a notable part of that global movement. A lot of Jamaicans, especially young Jamaicans, are not aware of that. Okay? A lot of them are not aware of that. Exactly, Karen. Exactly. Peter Tosh, amen, Mendes. Peter Tosh did warn us. Peter Tosh did warn us in his song against apartheid. And guys, I am going to, like I said, I am going to be doing this series in upcoming broadcasts every Sunday, because Jamaicans need to understand where we're coming from, from independence to Siaga to Michael Manley, and where we're at today. With Andrew Michael Holness. And what the implications, this is the most serious part. What are the implications for Jamaica as it relates to the Prime Minister's alliance with Israel? Okay? What is going on? Why the Prime Minister cannot relate to the citizens or even to the opposition PMP what he has involved Jamaica in with Israel? Who are these doctors? Are they really these 30 doctors that the Prime Minister said came in as doctors to help with the humanitarian aid? Are they really doctors? Or is something else going on? Where were the 300 Israelis that were already in Jamaica that Andrew Holness said he would grant asylum to when he made that promise to Netanyahu in 2017? He never said, should they come in? They were already in Jamaica. Okay? There are some serious issues taking place in Jamaica right now, and what Hurricane Melissa has done, Hurricane Melissa has shown the underbelly of the JLP-led government. Guys, I know you have heard people saying, come out and say that should anyone come to you to purchase land, especially from those down in the West and in the communities where Melissa wrecked everything terribly, do not sell your lands. Right? There is a bigger picture at play why the Prime Minister of Jamaica is so slow to respond to certain areas versus other areas. There is a bigger picture at play, and it's time for Jamaicans to open their eyes and see that picture and see it for what it is. Ask yourselves this question, and this is another discussion also. Why is it that the Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Honorable Michael Holness, as I call him, told the people to choose Jamaica, and yet his business called ADMAT is in St. Lucia. He has offshore accounts in St. Lucia. So if you're the leader for a country that you are telling the people to choose, why would your business be in another country? Let it make sense. Let it make sense. Why would your business be in another country? And why is it then when Zara Burton, a Jamaican journalist, opened up a can of worms about your business in ADMAT, your bank accounts and all these other things, you shut her down? What were you hiding? What are you still hiding today, Mr. Prime Minister? What is it you don't want the people to know, Mr. Prime Minister? Who are these Israeli investors, Mr. Prime Minister? What exactly would they be building in the West, Mr. Prime Minister? I ask the questions. Are there any Israeli operatives at the Up Park camp? Because I heard from reliable source that they are. I also heard from reliable source that some of these Israeli operatives are training our Jamaican soldiers. That's what I heard. Why would Bobby Montague come out in December of 2017 after Mr. Holness visited Israel in January of 2017? Why would then Minister of National Security come out and say that Jamaica was going to grant amnesty to over 15,000 to 20,000 illegal immigrants? Where in Jamaica were these illegal immigrants? You know, there was a time a friend of mine had a boyfriend and he was locked up at the Central Police Station. And I went with her a couple times. And within the lockup were 3 Cubans who were found on a boat fleeing from Cuba, and they had them in the lockup. They had them locked up in the jail. So how is it that they can lock up 3 persons from Cuba in the jail? I don't remember the name of the man who got them out. He had a hotel in somewhere in Portmore. I can't remember his name now. But he vouched for them and he got them out and they started working for him at that hotel. I don't even know if that man is still alive. But my question is this. Where were these illegal immigrants? Who was feeding these illegal immigrants that Bobby Montague said the government was willing to grant asylum? Where were the 3,000 Israelis that Andrew Holness told Benjamin Netanyahu that he would grant asylum? And another question we need to ask also. The plane filled with Indians, the 253 Indians that landed in Jamaica that the authorities said they suspected were involved in human trafficking. How and why were those Indians not detained but were allowed to walk the streets of Jamaica? Because if so much Indian come in on a plane and not suspect them of human trafficking, they don't set them loose on the street for take where the people them, girl picking them, the people them, boy picking them, the people them, the women and whoever to go use in them trafficking. Why weren't they detained? And who made, because the news said hotel reservations were already made for them. Who made those reservations? But the biggest question is, how did a plane not authorized to land in Jamaica get the go-ahead to land in Jamaica? How did a plane with a German pilot and with a German crew and 253 Indians take off from Dubai, come into Jamaican airspace, land in Jamaican airspace, And the Jamaican authorities suspected them of human trafficking. But at the same time the authorities suspect them of human trafficking, the authorities never say they must lock them up in the jail or whatever. They were allowed to walk freely in the Jamaican streets for 3 days. In and out of hotels for 3 days. Who knows if they really did leave Jamaica? And the bigger question I have to ask is, when did the CEO of the Amber Group gain Jamaican citizenship, and on what grounds did he gain Jamaican citizenship? There's a lot for us to question. And Jamaicans, let me tell you, no just take what Michelle has said. Go and educate on yourselves. Go and find out. Go and look for what kind of cyber deal Jamaica in with Israeli cyber companies. You know what the funniest thing is, people? 3 days after the last general election, 3 days after, Pika was hacked. That's the system that holds your passport information, all of your national information, ID, everything. It was hacked. And up to today, nobody can come out and say who hacked it or why it was hacked. And I am asking the question again, did any of those 20,000, 15,000 illegal immigrants that they granted amnesty or whatever they granted, were they allowed to vote? Were any of those Israelis allowed to vote? Jamaicans? Here see somebody say Pika and next RGD. All right? You go educate on yourself. Not just sit down and listen to propaganda. Not make people cow on down. Go and educate yourselves. Jamaica is heading in a serious direction because as of now, all our allies, Jamaica's allies, which would be the US, Canada, England, whatever, are upset that the government, the Prime Minister of Jamaica, is in bed with Benjamin Netanyahu, right? And what kind of structure are those Israelis planning to build on the western side of Jamaica? Is it the same western side, or is it the same side that the Prime Minister has said should be the new city of Jamaica? Jamaicans, go and question, go and educate, go and ask yourselves what is going on, because believe me, something is going on. Something is going on. And while you slumber, you might wake up and everything, everything isn't as it used to be. Okay, I want to thank you for joining me, and I am saying there's something afoot. Where is that UK ship? Where are all the supplies, the tents, the polar lamps, the boats that are supposed to rescue Jamaicans who are stranded in places where the roads have been washed away and all of that? Where are all these relief aids? Where did all the relief aids from Mr. Worm go? Who else is coming? The biggest question we need to ask, who else is coming in and out of Jamaica that you don't know about? Because if Daryl Vaz is going to say he did not have a clue who Mr. Worm was, when the news is saying that this gentleman had been in Jamaica 4 times prior to the crash of his plane, delivering relief for Jamaicans and was received by Jamaican authority, how come Mr. Vaz was not aware of that? And he's a part of the government. He's a part of the government that is supposed to know what is going on, who is bringing in what, who is taking in what, where does that aid go? Is there a warehouse somewhere in Montego Bay or somewhere in Jamaica where all this stuff is at? Is there a bigger plan afoot? Is all this stuff being put away because there's something greater to come? There was a time in Jamaicans history, enough I only never know, when Siaga did take a whole heap of rice and flour and put them in our warehouse when people have to buy. If you have to buy a pound of saltfish, you have to buy a pound of flour. When saltfish married to flour, when rice married to cornmeal and all these things. And when him dump everything else, and Jamaicans were hungry for days. Those who know. Is there something bigger to come? Are these goods being stored somewhere in preparation for something to come? Jamaicans, go and educate yourselves. The information is there. I remember that time when everything did store in a warehouse and whatnot. If you go and shop for buy 1 pound of flour, you have to buy saltfish with it. This time, it's going to be worse, because it cannot be that items are coming into the country to help the people who are in need, but the people aren't seeing these items. The only items the people are seeing are the items by the entertainers and people like Andre, some of these TikTokers who are going into these communities and assisting them. If these TikTokers and Andre and the entertainers can find their way into these communities, why is it that the Prime Minister of Jamaica, the government of Jamaica, cannot find their way into these communities? Does that make sense? Some of these people are at the point where they're putting pipes together themselves. They're trying to repair this and repair that for themselves. Where is the government? Where are the boats that are supposed to go and take these people out of areas that are flooded, areas where there are no more homes, area where water has washed away anything, there are no roads, there's nothing? Where are the boats to take these people out of this community? Why is it that JDF helicopters aren't going into some of these communities, airlifting the people and taking them to safer grounds? Something is very wrong. I also heard that there's an outbreak of leptospirosis in one of these communities. I don't remember which one. Okay? And with people walking around dead bodies, there is more disease. There's an outbreak for greater things to come. Jamaicans, pay attention. Because it cannot be that you have a government who is not paying attention to these people and these areas and making it a priority. Because these areas need to become priority. They are not priority. Where are the over 3,000 tents? How come none of the people in the places them like where Andre and others are go now where I get tarpaulin and these things? How come none of these tents are there? How come none of these people in these areas have any of these solar powered lamps so they can see at night? Exactly. The first thing they should have done is evacuate the people. Why has that not been done? What is going on? I put it to you, Jamaicans, there is something afoot. Where are all these goods that have come in? The goods from Mr. Worm? Because if he has been coming to Jamaica with relief aid 4 times, I put it to you that there are others that have brought in aid to Jamaica that Jamaicans do not know about. Are these supplies being housed in a warehouse somewhere for something greater that is to come? I saw that 2 Mendes, the clip with mosquitoes eating off someone's leg. Yes, it's terrible. So what is the Prime Minister doing? What is the government doing? I see Dayton Campbell day by Dr. Dayton Campbell day by day in them community. I try do this and I try do that. I see this one in them community day by day. I see Nikisha, I can't remember the other lady's name, in their community day by day. Where is the Prime Minister of the country? Him find the time for sit down and interview Ramesh. The time him sit down and talk to Ramesh, him puppet when him up, one of the puppet when him up on a spring. It should have been time spent in communities where these people are, so that they can look at their leader, so that their leader can give them hope that I will get you out of this situation. But him find time for sit down with Ramesh. But you can't find the time to go to some of these areas and assist these people. Evacuate them out of the areas. Get them to safety. Get them to put some of them in the national arena. Why is it, the next question no one asks, why is it that in some of these communities where people are helping, I heard about Andre getting robbed. How is it that there's no form of policing, no form of security in these areas? Because in these areas need security. They need the police there. What is going on? What is going on? And people are saying the prime minister is working. Where is he working? Where is he working? Jamaicans, wake up. Wake up. There's more to come. Pay attention and wake up. All right? I bid you all good night, and I want to thank you for joining me. God bless all of you. Join me next week at the same time when I will continue going down the road, up the road, cross the bridge, all over. But eventually, you will all see me get there. All right? Thank you all for watching me. Have a good night and goodbye. Why is this not?